March is Women's History Month, and the Xfinity editors have created a brand new collection showcasing female stories, casts, and creators across TV, film, and music. And our very own Black Experience editor, Kayla, is going to tell us more about it. Kayla, take it away.
Oh yeah, it's Women's History Month, y'all, and we are giving you the best of the best of the best. Okay, our editors came up with an ultimate watch list for anybody who is wanting to dive into all things women's history, starting with our favorite female-directed films, because we know we do our thing behind the camera. Okay, so make sure you check those out. Also, TV shows with strong female leads that are free on your services. I said free, yes. Kung Fu featured first there, which is a fave. Our favorite female stories. So all those stories ranging from like true stories and even those that are fictional to come in here and give you the best of the best of the best. Women in music, which Kwame put together. So you know he has all of the top hits from women everywhere. And also stories of Latinas who've made an impact, and phenomenal Black women in history. So those are all the multicultural collections there at the bottom, and also more TV and movies and music, Latino, Black experience, everything, everywhere, all at once this month. Okay, all you have to do is say Women's History Month into your X1 voice remote. And if I were to choose a title, and it was so hard to choose, but if I were to choose like a favorite title, I would choose The Immortal Life of Henrietta Lacks, only because this is such a bizarre story. And I have never heard of this woman until, you know, I read the biography and then I watched the movie when it came out, starring Oprah. But it is about a poor tobacco farmer, Henrietta Lacks, who she had cancer, and her cancer cells were taken from her without her permission. So she didn't voluntarily give them over. They were taken and used in the most important medical research ever. She has the first immortalized human cell line. So her cells do not die. They're still not dead. They keep reproducing themselves. And it's just it's the craziest story. So her cells were used to create the HeLa cell line, which is still used largely by scientists today. If you were to ask any scientist, they would know what the HeLa cell line is. And they were used to develop, you know, the polio vaccine, cloning, gene mapping, in vitro fertilization, and so much more. And she was never compensated or recognized for the use of her cells that are still in use till this day. So it's wild.
That is wild.
It's crazy. I'm like, this story, I think.
How do we not all know that story? Like, I don't know about you, David. I won't speak for you, but I have never even heard this story. And now, like, obviously this is something that I'm going to watch, but yeah, I am floored.
It's crazy. Never heard of this. This is the kind of stuff I would have preferred learning about in history class instead of.
Okay. Yeah. Right.
You know, the stuff that we learn in history class.
Yes, it's so insane. It's a great story. The reporter who did the book, she was talking about all the stories she's heard of people coming to her like, "Oh, my mom had cancer, but she was able to receive this chemo, which the HeLa science helped develop, and all. So she's cancer free." It's insane. I don't think there's anybody who hasn't benefited from the research that has come from her cells, and that are still coming from her cells to this day, since the 50s.
Wow.
So,
wow,
crazy.
Wow,
that's a great one. This is like the second week in a row that we talked about Oprah. We talked about her just a couple weeks ago on the show.
Yeah, I mean,
Oprah, it's having a moment here.
She's killing it. She's killing it. Liz, I'm curious to know, what is your favorite movie from this collection?
All right, so it is a movie that I just keep going back to over and over again, and it's Frida. And if everyone remembered the screenshot that you just shared, it was one of the first movie poster arts that you saw on there. I absolutely love Salma Hayek in this movie, and Alfredo Molina, who plays her husband Diego Rivera. If you don't know this story, like just the same way with Henrietta, right? I mean, hers is from a scientific perspective, like this will also like floor you if you don't know this story. I mean, this was toxic relationship before toxic relationship was even, a thing. Frida and Diego Rivera met after Frida had an accident, which she was bedridden for a very long time. And her dad gave her a canvas and was like, here, find something to do. And so she started to paint. And she approached a very famous muralist in Mexico who was 20 years older than her and married, to take a look at, her art and give his opinion. And so they start a very, interesting affair. They do end up eventually married, and divorced, and then married again, with lots of affairs in between on both parts. Frida is one of the original baddies. And if you notice, obviously Salma Hayek is beautiful and portrays Frida in a way that I don't know is necessarily true to how Frida actually looked. Frida was more androgynous a little. So she was both feminine, both masculine. She wore her unibrow. She wore a mustache on purpose. It was part of her personality. She also had affairs with men and with women. And at one point, they both she and Diego had an affair with the same woman, not at the same time, but during the same time period. And so it's an interesting story about their relationship and Mexico during that time. So definitely a must watch if you haven't already watched. And if you don't know the story, obviously there's tons of amazing art and just wonderful story about a really toxic relationship. And I don't know why I love it so much, but I really do. Frida she's such a baddie, and she talks about just being an independent woman and obviously never needing someone to just make her whole. So she's definitely great, and I love the show. Have either of you watched this movie?
I have. I watched it back when it first came out.
Yeah.
And I feel like even though Salma Hayek was obviously working before that, like this was the movie that put her on the map and had her put her in another echelon of actors. Yeah, it's a fascinating story, and it's fascinating to just learn so much, like so many intimate details about an artist just outside of their art, and helps you understand where their art comes from then.
Yeah.
Yes.
So yes, it's excellent. I also really kind of need a t-shirt with her face on it that says original baddie on it. Now that you said that, like,
Right?
Someone get me the original baddie Frida Kahlo t-shirt. I need that.
I do have a t-shirt with Frida Kahlo's face on it, and I should have worn it, but
you should have worn it.
I totally flaked on that one, guys. We'll get some made.
We should.
All right, David, what's your pick?
I am so happy I get to talk about this movie. I mean, I think it's little known actually, but should be seen by the masses. It is one of my favorite films of the last several years, hands down. It's the 2016 drama Certain Women. It was written and directed by Kelly Reichardt, based on 3 short stories by Miley Malloy. So that is a all-female cast, written by a woman, based on a short stories by a woman, written and directed. The film follows the lives of 3 strong-willed women played by Laura Dern, Kristen Stewart, and Michelle Williams as they encounter challenges with careers, relationships, and home renovation in small-town Montana. And although the lives of these 3 women intersect, their stories are told separately and often with very powerful effect. I think I've said this before on What to Watch Live, but I'm absolutely fascinated by modern American stories, particularly those that are set in the Midwest, that showcase this slice of, geez, I can't even talk. I'm so excited. It showcases a slice of life that feels so foreign to me. Like, it happens in this country, people are living these certain ways, and you just like, it's hard to believe. And that's why I find myself absolutely enthralled by movies like American Honey, The Florida Project, Nomadland, because it's amazing to see how some people live in this country, and we don't even realize it. So Certain Women currently has a 92% fresh rating on Rotten Tomatoes. It was nominated for more than 30 awards when it was released, and more than a third of those nominations were for supporting actress Lily Gladstone, who is absolutely phenomenal in the film. She's the fourth woman towards the bottom of that poster. And one more note, the director of this film, Kelly Reichardt, would go on to co-write and direct the movie First Cow, which was nominated for more than 40 awards in 2019. And that is also an absolutely gorgeous movie and one of my favorites. So, you know, as we sort of said at the top, go support women filmmakers. Go watch their stories, watch their work, so we get more directors nominated at the Oscars and the Golden Globes, and we keep getting to tell diverse stories across the board. So start anywhere, but put Certain Women and First Cow on your list along with Frida and Henrietta Lacks, because how can you go wrong? This is such a great collection. There's so many good movies in there. And I don't even think you realize most times that, especially in the films that were directed by women, that women directed it.
Mm-hmm.
Exactly.
Right.
Yeah, this is exciting. So go out and watch anything and everything.
Do it all at once.
All at once. Get you 200 TVs and put them all on. Okay.
Oh, so you can check out the Women's History Month collection, as Kayla said, as well as movies we just talked about, just by saying Women's History Month into your voice remote.